We have a special guest. You have a special guest. Special guests all around.
I don't do anything unless there's 3 layers of meta.
I like it. All right.
We are friends from Craigslist. Woo! Ooh, that was fire! Yeah.
What's up, podcast? Welcome back to another episode of Friends from Craigslist, episode 18. Wow. Who would have thought we would have gotten this far? Please continue to rate and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. What, Grace?
I thought we'd be shut down by now, that's for sure.
Actually, admirable. That's pretty far.
I thought we would have been canceled by now. But anyway.
I know not made it that far.
No, I mean, just make sure you rate and review, please, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. You can also catch us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. They're all at Friends from Craigslist. And now on Monday mornings, well, I guess not. It's morning for some people. On Monday evenings at 4 o'clock, we're on Helium Radio. And it's live streamed, and it's beautiful. So please check that out. All the links are in the description below. And we have a really special guest today. My guy is a director. He's a filmmaker. He writes things much better than most. When I was in school, I went to school for music, and they had a class called Writing for Jazz Students. That's how special we were. And he also acts. He does it all.
Daniel writes a heck of a lot better than Matt does introductions. Let's just say that for all that. I know the bar was pretty low, but at least we know this guy's got it.
I was very excited.
My writing is worse than his introduction. I just probably should quit where I'm at now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Listen, guys, I wrote it down, okay? And then we improv the whole thing.
Which is even worse.
He prepared this.
Yeah. He's prepared to be this bad. That's where we're at with everything, it is that level.
It got the point across, the information, my glorious talent, everything that was needed is done.
Now I'm going to exaggerate your last name, Daniel Benedon. What's up?
Thank you guys for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Dude, I'm very happy you're here. And it can only go up from here. So if you want to take a minute.
I hope that goes up from here.
I think there's no choice. With both of you guys, it'll be amazing. Someone can carry the show. So can you take a minute and just introduce yourself, tell people where you're from, what you do, how you got here?
Sure, yeah. So I'm from originally Freehold, New Jersey. Right now I live in Red Bank. Let's see. I guess it's been a long, arduous process of trying to discover my passion and what I want to do in life, because it's really the greatest mystery of all time. Is like, what the heck we're doing here?
Did you take a year off from college to discover yourself or find yourself?
You're calling me out, man. I never went to college.
Oh, that's good. No. That's good. Okay. No. We're getting somewhere. I won't interrupt you anymore.
Well, I mean, depending on what you want to do, school can be beneficial or not. I mean, I think artistically, it's kind of counterintuitive because first of all, we're in the age of information. I mean, the fact that we're on our computers and phones and whatever now, we can look up anything. And it's also just such an internal process. It's really hard to like go somewhere and learn a specific style from someone. It just seems, for me, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot you can learn. But there's also some of my favorite filmmakers, Paul Thomas Anderson, Quentin Tarantino, they just watched films and made theirs, and they're two of the greatest of all time.
Dude, we're going to talk about that because Grace and I had this little text chat yesterday of you learn things in school for sure, and I'm grateful for going to school, but the real education starts after. But anyway,
yeah. For sure, man.
Life
experience is the greatest thing.
Oh, yeah. Did you start as actor? Did you go actor, learned all that, and then, started writing your own stuff? Or did you start and you were like, I want to write films? How did it work?
Yeah, it's the funny thing. always wanted to be an actor growing up, but my parents were always against it and they never let me pursue it. And like, honestly, thank God, because child actors' lives are horrible. And I'm really grateful they didn't get me into that industry. But then one day I kind of just realized like I can do whatever I want. Like I don't need to listen to all these like talking heads around me. And so I moved to LA right after high school and just, I mean, like I knew I wanted to act, but I was also very interested in filmmaking, but I didn't know like how much. And then it was there that I really discovered my love for writing and behind the camera. And it's just storytelling is really one of my favorite things of all time, you know, just sharing this kind of, it's the inspiration for me that gets me. It's like my favorite part of film is you can talk all day to somebody and it kind of goes in one ear out the other. But art, I mean, and film in particular can kind of touch people in a certain way that nothing else can. It kind of hits you visually, auditorily, and emotionally, and it encapsulates the senses. And I kind of want to use that realm of where people go to escape to introduce there's more to this life than meets the eye. You know, I want them to leave that escape with more inspiration for the real world that they re-enter, so to speak.
Oh, all right. So you thought you wanted to be a child actor. How'd you know that? Like, what did you do? What cartoon did you watch? Because I was watching Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, and sure as heck, those weren't inspirations to go into acting.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I love cartoons. That's certain, but it was more like I just always loved movies, you know, and I just saw the appeal and the potential of that, and just how much fun it must be to be another character, you know, something like Marty McFly, for example. I love that character. I love Back to the Future. And it just seemed like so much fun and such a wonderful legacy to leave, to be this like iconic character that people can see you and be like, oh, that's Marty McFly. Like he made me so happy as a kid, you know, watching him on his adventures and everything. I wanted to give that to people.
Dude, you have the Home Alone smile. In a not creepy way.
I hope it's like after Macaulay Culkin cleaned himself up and not during like that really rough period.
Oh, no, it was before.
About.
It was way before. Okay. It was before he was like a drug addict. This is like you as a kid, like, I could see. McAllister. Oh, yeah. No, you're a McAllister, bro. Daniel McAllister. Hey, Daniel McAllister rolls off the tongue. Sorry,
I'd say
Chris.
like a compliment, but that family was so mean to him.
I know they were. Wait, can we just sit on that for a second? Though that family, they were such dicks to poor Kevin.
Did he freeze or did I freeze?
I think we're all frozen.
Oh no, it's just you. So
no, it's just me.
Oh, it's your damn phone.
Oh, Jesus Christmas! Sorry about that.
That'll be a fun part of that podcast.
They were so mean to poor Kevin.
Yeah,
in Home Alone. I don't get it, and I actually just recently watched it. And by recently, I mean like Christmas time. And like...
Someone ever watches it?
Yeah, but they were such dicks. And it wasn't even good writing. They were just dicks.
Yeah, they were just genuinely horrible to this poor kid. Worst thing he did was just be like an annoying 10-year-old or however old he was in there. But it was just totally uncalled for. Especially the uncle. I was like, I'm the king of the cool. Get out of here, you nosy little pervert.
Sorry, Grace, I interrupted you.
No. I want to go back a little bit, you know, not having gone to college and really having your own experiences and your own foresight. And I mean, you sound unbelievably self-driven as is, but, you know, to help you get where you are today and be doing this stuff, you know, what has been the best advice someone has given you that you just hold on to and, you know, would tell anybody who were to ask you, because it's what, you know, has really driven you at this point also, or something that helps make you tick?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's more like my like passion for what I want to do kind of comes from like also the curiosity and questioning of what life is, like the experience that we're having. Because I grew up in a very religious family, and then as I got older, I kind of questioned it a lot and like went down my own path and was just wondering like, why are we alive? What is the point of all this? And, you know, maybe there's a definitive answer or not, but I don't really know if that's the point. I just feel like because it's so mysterious, there's nothing else we should be doing but just everything our heart can imagine and desire. And I just really want to fulfill that and feel like by the end of it, that I've done my very best to just enjoy myself and be happy and give back in a positive way. So I would just say, just jump into whatever you want to do. And I know that it's risky. I know it's crazy, but people do it, like you are your own limitations. It's all self-imposed in the mind. There's really nothing we can't do. Humans have pure potentiality. And so I didn't want to waste it. I don't think anybody should.
How is like, that's a deep root. Like, it's not just, I'm passionate about it. It is down to existence of life.
Mm-hmm.
How has that influenced the work you produce? Like, does it come out in that?
For sure. Because I think a lot of this kind of media is like, especially nowadays, I feel like it's getting worse and worse, where it's more of like a business and just kind of like a turn your brain off, like be entertained. And there's not a lot of like substance or soul that I see. Like, I can't really remember the last like modern film that I watched that really touched me in a way that I was like, wow, that's just like really someone giving it their all. And so anything I do, I really want to make sure that I'm leaving a part of myself that I really feel like people should take in, or something that I feel like I want them to learn. I don't want it to just be like a blind, yeah, that was fun. I want it to, inspire hope. That's my biggest draw to anything I do, is like leave some sort of hope with people, because the world's a scary place right now in certain aspects, especially nowadays.
Yeah, that's understatement of the year.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
That's like a very daunting but like really cool perspective. Because when I go about, like, I have this conversation, I think everyone has this conversation. You had it when you were younger too, like with your parents, right? And obviously our parents always want the best for us, right? Both.
Yeah.
They want you to be the best version of yourself, and they want the best for you. And, I remember always having this conversation, and it's, at what point do you, like, quote unquote, give up on the dream, right? In a way, like, you never give up. You always try to do it on the side or whatever, whatever it is. If it's not working out, and the conversation I had is, if it's not working out at a certain age, okay, it's time to get a real job, right? And so I've tried to live similarly to you. Like, you only get one shot at this, right? So go full on and take every day to be the best and work as hard as you can and as smart as you can and do everything you can to accomplish this thing. And then I tell myself, if I died tomorrow, would I be proud of what I did leading up to it? Have I done everything in my ability to accomplish this goal that I want? Or to become the best musician or become the best whatever that I can be, the best person that I could be? Would I have any regrets? That reminded me of that sort of premise. And I know it's quite daunting, and it's very inspirational, but it's also very like, wow, it's a lot of pressure,
For sure.
And so
it can be terrifying. Yeah. I understand the fear of that and the resistance, and why most people just kind of see it as a pipe dream sort of thing. But I don't see life as anything more than a game, and we really can play to win. It's kind of the whole premise of the film that we worked on together. And I just think, I do understand, like, people saying, I understand why they say, but I don't agree. Of like, oh, well, there's a certain age you should just kind of give up, because like everything we could ever want lies on the other side of fear. Resistance is a compass, and fear is a compass. And so, like, nothing is ever really handed to anyone. You look at all the most successful, famous artists on the planet, and they always have some kind of crazy story of how it started, like Apple in a garage, or Lee Daniels was sleeping in his car. And this is allegedly Walt Disney used to eat dog food because he couldn't afford real food. That's probably like some kind of crazy urban legend, but like the inspiration there is still, it's still valid, like you just do what you have to do. I mean, he's an empire builder, Walt Disney, right? If he just like gave up after like a certain amount of years, because he had so many problems. Everyone has problems. That's the name of the game, nothing that's like world changing or world breaking will ever come easy. The whole point is the resistance, but it wouldn't be fun if it was just like, oh yeah, I'm a filmmaker now, I'm a musician. Like the journey is the destination, right? It's all about getting there.
Dude, you've been making me feel so much better about my life today. Dude, like,
Dude, that's all I want, man.
All right. So I know you recently, we worked on a film together. I guess kind of recently. And it's called Here's the Only Place There Is. And it's cool because your film is kind of, it's unique. And I'll let you describe it because you'll do a much better job, obviously. But I want to know what your plans for it are, because I think a lot of people have finished projects and they have this as their baby, and then now what? What's your plans for the film?
Well, I guess I'll describe it first, right? So the whole kind of thing is, it's sort of about how like the main character is in a game or like the game of life, but it isn't so much that it's like his own unique game. It's more that our life is a game that we're playing. And so he kind of goes through his life. Like you see him, well, I guess first he's in sort of a tutorial period. If you play video games, it's going to land a lot harder, but you can easily watch it without understanding all of those nuances. But so he kind of chooses as a soul certain ways that he wants his life to go. Born, and he meets this girl in school, and he realizes like he wants to write poetry for her, and he gets sidetracked by all like the other missions of life, and it's about many things. It's about him kind of discovering his true like drive and heart's desire, heart's mission. And it's also about realizing like the importance of the present moment, and because only in that present moment is he able to see all the game visuals and like his health bar and all these kind of crazy things popping up. And the whole idea kind of came from just me playing video games and spending hours on the couch. And then I would turn it off and stand up and be like, where was I? I wasn't doing anything. Like my whole self was turned off and I was this other character. And I realized that this right here is a character that I'm playing. And if I want my character to play piano, I sit at the piano and practice it, and boom, I have that skill. Or if I want my character to make a movie, I write and film and make the movie. And so I'm trying to build this character now. And you know, that's sort of the biggest drive for me with that story. And then as far as getting it out there, it's through the festivals right now. So unfortunately I can't share it with this podcast. Maybe like you can post the link on it after it's released sometime. Yeah. I don't know how that
definitely will.
Okay, cool.
Or we'll do a follow-up and you'll tell me how it's going. I was curious to see when you were kind of talking about like Tarantino and the people that you sort of looked up to a little bit in the beginning. You know, they're not necessarily writing, you know, the rom-coms or the things that are just like, oh yeah, like the action movies or whatever kind of box office, you know, mainstream kind of stuff. Do you feel as though you need to eventually go that mainstream route to be successful, or do you think that this kind of genre of your film is kind of your route? And do you think it could blow up like, you know, these big, you know, box office films like a Ready Player One or something like that?
I think a lot of people define success in that kind of way of like, if you're like world famous and making millions of dollars and working for big studios, but like, to me, like if you make a film, you're a filmmaker, you succeeded. And whether people see it or not, that's neither here nor there. Like, it's just the self-accomplishment of putting yourself to work and getting something out of your soul, your heart, or wherever it's coming from and giving it to the world. And I truly believe whoever's meant to see it will see it. And that's success to me. You know, I used to really admire that sort of lifestyle and think like, oh, one day I'll be rich and famous and successful and blah, blah, blah. But I've given all that up. I mean, it's meaningless at the end of the day. There's so many people that have that still like commit suicide or incredibly depressed. It's just very clear that it's not really the answer to life. And that's not really the answer that I seek anymore. And I am 100% of the notion that if your work is meant to get out there, it will. If you are truly passionate about what you're doing and it's coming from a place of realism, it's going to be seen by the people that need to see it. You know, it's usually the artists that I see that kind of are just trying to make what everybody else wants to see and don't care about it as much and worried about how much money it's going to make. That's not going to go very far because you're not really allowing life in the universe to age you in the correct way. And I look at people like Stanley Kubrick, for example, because I know the whole idea of things is like, it's who you know and this or that. And he was a huge recluse. He just spent his time in the library reading and working and doing photography. And he just was a genius and people saw it. And then he built himself from there. You know, he didn't socialize with people. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, but I'm just saying like, there's no right or wrong way to do these things. You know, it's just kind of however you want to do it. It's your own story.
Dude, that's awesome. That is, yeah, I agree with you. And it's unfortunate because, like you said, people just do stuff to make it sound like what they think everybody wants to hear. And there's just so much crap out there that it's hopefully, you know, people like you and people that make art for the art of it and something that you love to do and your passion, it cuts through all that shit. Because in the music world, in the film world, I think in all of the creative, you know, mediums, there's just so much shit. And it's really challenging for people that are talented like you and have drive and make it because of the art form just to get through that shit. So,
man, I want to talk you up for a second because your music is probably the best part of the whole thing. It's always, whenever people see it, the feedback I always get is, dude, the music was incredible. And they ask who did it. And all. Seriously, man, like when I heard the takes that you gave me, like each time it was just striking a chord with me. I was like, this guy is just bringing it to life in a way that I couldn't do. You know, it was just such a wonderful addition. I'm eternally grateful.
It was a collaborative effort. We did go a lot of back and forth. So it was a good, that's the best way to do it though. Because it's never one-sided in any process, any creative process. You always need somebody to bounce ideas off of.
Just to make sure we pivot and get to the other part, because we went down some super deep stuff. If our listeners are listening, you should be just ready to, you know, go fly your own plane right now, because that inspiration could not get any more real, rooted, and, you know, into the perspective people need to be taking more on life. But let's be honest, some things are going to always piss you off. No matter how much there's hope, there's annoying shit in the world. So, Daniel, talk to us about what Lesbehonest bugs you, gets you, grinds your gears, whatever you want to call it, that we can help talk through today.
The funny thing is, I feel like anyone that saw me in a positive light before, I'm about to just completely ruin it.
I love it. The two sides of the Daniel coin.
Yeah, because I like to live life in a very natural way, and I feel like everything was kind of given to us. And so the thing that kind of annoys me is I really dislike how people make such a big deal about like just regular bodily functions, or that it's like always like gross and like rude and like you can't do this here or that, or it's like if someone has dandruff, like you ever had a kid with dandruff in your school and everyone's like, oh, that's the dandruff kid. It's like, he can't control that. Like you have dandruff too. We all have, or like someone farts and everyone's like, who farted? Like, oh, that's disgusting. It's
I was just watching The League last night, and it was, did you guys watch The League? Oh God. Well, one of the actors, Kevin, he went into the bathroom and he farted, and they're like, dude, what are you doing in here? And it was the whole episode of him going to the bathroom, people walking in on him, like farting in the bathroom. And they're like, dude, what are you doing in here? He's like, I ask you, if I can't fart in the bathroom, where can one fart?
Like, I think we start a new movement. You know, there's like normalize this, normalize that. I think we normalize farts or normalize something and start a whole new trend of normalized bodily function.
It's so that people are like embarrassed at saying that, no one can know that I do this, that literally every
single person does.
Why?
It's so true.
A thing,
dude. And it's also like, you know, if you're in a public place or you work in an office and you have to use the bathroom and it happens to be number 2 and you get that like knock on the door, isn't that just like it freaks you out? It tenses you up. It's like, oh, now
Totally.
I either have to like, I can't go now, or like I gotta rush it because somebody's waiting or something. And it's like, and it feels like shameful. But then like it's like, but you're in the bathroom. Like it's just
For sure.
you go in the bathroom.
Or like hawking a good loogie because that all gets in your throat. Yeah, I like this one.
All of us have these like functions. I mean, it's very silly that we have to like pretend and tiptoe around each other. It's like, who cares? Just whatever.
That's the other thing too, is that the other part of all this is not just, but the people are ruthless, especially kids.
Absolutely.
Ruthless.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how you get stuck with the bad nicknames for the rest of your life is just, and it's usually from, to your point, some normal bodily function that you have no control over. Like, make fun of the kid who like chose to jump off the thing and hit his head on the ceiling. Like, no, that was you being an idiot versus something you don't have control over.
Yeah,
Although,
totally fair. There should be like a nice group of judges that determine like, was this actually his fault or was this just a human thing?
It was one of the cooler, very much a cooler episode.
yeah.
Just
grounds you a little bit more. And so thanks for bringing that to the podcast. And I hope all the viewers appreciate it, follow you on all the things to be able to find as you keep producing this kind of positive energy out there and get the right atmosphere, get the right perspective on life. And what an episode 18.